Hello and welcome back to another Space Engineers showcase video. In today's video, we're looking at something that's very angry and well could blow up at any second. This is the Ornithopter, which is this lovely thing over here. This is a non-combat small block ship that well features a teeny tiny interior for you to fly this thing around. Now this is based on the transport class vessel as seen in the latest Dune movie, so if you've seen that maybe it looks familiar, but for me I haven't seen it, and I just thought it was a fancy design. Pressing F10 and finding it in the spawn menu, there it is. This thing is 673 small blocks using the heavy industry and wasteland DLC packs. It uses no mods, and we do have a tiny bit of information about it here. We can see it's from the Dune 2021, and of course the special abilities, which is folding its wings. So we'll give this thing a thumbs up, we'll move all the way around to the very front, we'll have a quick look around the outside, then we'll fly around for a bit, and I'll show you what you should and shouldn't do with this if you want to live. So at the very front, this is what we get. Front and centre, we've got ourselves a lovely glass cockpit with a small control seat to drive this thing around. Just below that, we've got some blaster edge blocks with some interior lights on the very front to light up the darkness. And right below that, we can see our little legs that come across from some rotors, onto some pistons, onto some hinges, onto some steel blocks to make ourselves some landing gear. If you were to continue around the side of this thing, this is what we get. We've got a small little arrow pointing down, we can see the hinges connecting up to the main body. Then we come across onto the main body, where we've got some more rotors onto hinges, onto some armoured plates. These armour plates go all the way towards the back and will act as our wings, and we can fold them all the way out to the side and they will wobble around a bit like they're flapping around. My light on for the moment. As we were to move towards the back, we've got some atmospheric thrusters, which are the only form of thrusters that appear on this ship, so we are good for planets or anything with an atmosphere. Just below that, we've got ourselves a little ramp that we can deploy by a click of a button, and this is how we're going to get in and out. So this will just fold all the way up to the top there, sealing us inside. That's how we're going to come across and access the chair. These pink glamour skin reactors you see up here are what I personally added to this ship because it did have a little bit of issues with power while flying around. Due to the instability of the wings flapping around, it did get out of control, and when it tries to fire all of its thrusters, the downward ones and the left and right ones, it does seem to max out its power and well spiral out of control. So I just slapped a few on here just for well showcase purposes. Come back to that a bit later. If we were to turn around and continue along towards the very back there, we've got some more thrusters to help us out, and then towards the very back here we've got some more blaster edge blocks and two more atmospheric thrusters to help push us around. If you were to come all the way up and above, we'll be able to see our wings, which are made out of the armoured plates, as well as some unfinished armoured plates towards the very back there. And looking all the way down, some more atmospheric thrusters. Then going towards the main body, even more atmospheric thrusters, and there are our rotors connecting onto the hinges for our wings. We've also got two gyroscopes on here. We can also see some cylindrical columns which are going across onto some rotors onto our other wings. And then towards the front there is our little cockpit where I'm sitting. If we were to drop down and come underneath past our interior lights, there's our little feet. There's an antenna to make sure we can always find this thing. And there's the hinge connecting up our ramp to be able to get in and out. To go towards the very back there's the base of the ramp. There is a button to manually open and close the ramp, just in case you get locked outside the cockpit. There is the atmospheric thrusters, and there is the back of the ship. And that is a very brief look around the outside of the Ornithopter, and hopefully I am saying that correctly. So what we can do now is just grab hold of my character, and this is what it's like in a first person view. So we are shaking around quite a lot, and we can see the body shaking as well. But bringing up the hotbar and coming over to tab number 1, this is what we get, and this is where it could all go wrong. So number 1 is going to be to open and close our ramp at the back there as a little manual toggle. So there we go, closes up, and then we can open it up. I'm just going to quickly put the thrusters on to make sure it stabilizes. Number 2 is a master toggle which will open and close the ramp as well as deploy and retract our landing legs at the front. So pressing number 2 and making sure our thrusters are turned on. After a few seconds, it will retract up, and now we're ready to go. And like I said, it can get a little bit wonky, so we have to try to compensate a little bit with everything going on with it. Just going to retract them all the way back out, and hopefully I can get this thing back under control. So there we go, that should be okay. We'll just retract that all the way back, and now we're on the floor. Number 3 is going to be to extend out our wings. So pressing that, there goes our wings, and you can see they'll wobble around a bit as if they're flapping around at some extreme speeds. Then just putting on our thrusters and lifting up. There we go, it is suddenly a lot more smoother than when we were on the ground. And that is that for the controls. So what I'm not going to do is a proper thruster test because it's a little unfair to this type of vehicle, trying to experiment with so many rotors and so many hinges. So we're simply going to fly this thing around, and we'll just see how it handles as we just move along this little canyon. So as you can see, we're not too fast overall, so we're not going to be escaping from any kind of enemy drones. They'll quite happily shoot us down with this thing, but it is very impressive to fly around and quite spectacular to look at from the ground. There we go, now come to a stop. And there we go. And of course the gyroscope controls we can turn around, we've got very steady, very meaty controls. So it's not too floaty, so you can't just spin this thing out of control. But like I said, if you were to lean too far to the left or too far to the right, it will just come crashing down to the ground if you don't have additional power on this thing. So now what I'm going to do is demonstrate what you should not do with this poor little ship, and that'll basically be it for the Ornithopter. So what I'm going to do while we're floating around here is just retract our wings all the way back. There we go, we are nice and stable in the air. They're going to shake around a little bit, but it's not going to affect the flying too much. We're just going to open this up, we're going to find our rotors, and now we're going to, well, tick this box. And then KLANG gets very, very angry. I don't even know what's happening at the back there. It just sort of lost control and just, I don't know. If I just try to hop out of here and look all the way up, there were a few bits, there it is, in the distance there just floating away. Might be able to get the free camera all the way over there in time. Probably not. In fact, I think I've just lost all of it. There it is. There's a piece falling down right there to the ground. But yes, if you were to tick that little box, stuff goes flying and it can get into space with the sheer force of KLANG. There we go. With that, I'll just go and paste it in a brand new one all the way to the ground. There we go. And like I said, that is basically it for this little ship. So there'll be a link to it in the description below if you do wish to download and play around with it yourself. I highly recommend you do because it is a very unique design and there's a lot going on with it, and perhaps you could build off this with your own version. So thank you all for watching, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.